The Indus Script was developed by the Indus Valley Civilization around 3500 to 2700 BCE, making it the earliest known form of writing in the Indian subcontinent. This writing system provides a glimpse into the sophisticated urban culture of the Harappan people during the Bronze Age. The script remains largely undeciphered, primarily because there is no bilingual inscription to serve as a key, like the Rosetta Stone for Egyptian hieroglyphs. The lack of a comparative text makes it exceptionally difficult to determine the underlying language. The majority of the approximately 4,000 known inscriptions are extremely short, often consisting of just 5 signs on average. The brevity of these texts, with the longest containing only 26 signs, makes statistical analysis and pattern recognition difficult. Indus script symbols are primarily found on stamp seals, pottery, and small tablets. These artifacts are typically small and portable, suggesting their use in trade, administration, or personal identification. The script signs show considerable aesthetic value and symmetry, indicating a deliberate and well-thought-out design. This suggests that the signs were not random doodles but part of a standardized system. The writing system was consistent across a vast geographical area of over 1 million square kilometers, encompassing what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwestern India. This uniformity suggests a unified cultural or administrative system and a widespread understanding of the script's signs and meanings. One major point of debate among scholars is whether the Indus script actually represents a spoken language. Some scholars argue that it might have been a system of non-linguistic signs used for commercial or religious purposes, rather than a full-fledged writing system. More than 100 claimed decipherments have been made over the years, most of which have been heavily critiqued or debunked by the academic community. The long history of failed attempts highlights the complexity of the script and the lack of conclusive evidence for any single theory. Scholars have proposed various linguistic families for the script, with Dravidian and Indo-Aryan being the most commonly debated. However, without decipherment, this remains a purely theoretical discussion based on linguistic and archaeological hypotheses. The lack of decipherment is a key reason why the Indus Valley Civilization is one of the least understood major early civilizations. The undeciphered script deprives historians of a direct written record from the civilization itself. There are several hundred distinct signs in the Indus script, though the exact number is debated by scholars. This large number suggests that it is not a purely alphabetic system, but rather a more complex logographic or logographic syllabic script. The signs are found on durable materials like stone and pottery, but no texts on perishable materials like papyrus or palm leaves have ever been found. This absence of longer texts, even if they once existed, limits the available corpus for analysis. Some researchers have used computer analysis to study the structure and patterns of the signs. This modern approach helps to identify statistical regularities, but it still cannot definitively prove the meaning of the signs. The direction of writing is generally thought to be from right to left, a conclusion drawn from the way signs are compressed towards the left on some seals. This observation helps researchers understand the visual arrangement of the texts. One of the most famous images associated with the script is the so-called unicorn seal. This seal and other similar artifacts, featuring animal and human motifs, often accompany the script, offering potential contextual clues. The signs on the seals may have functioned as proper names, administrative titles, or indicators of trade goods. This interpretation aligns with the commercial and administrative context in which many of the seals were used. Some scholars argue that the script functioned as tax stamps or permits, particularly those found on tablets. This theory suggests a highly organized system of trade and governance within the civilization. The earliest known examples of Indus script signs appear on pottery from the early Harappan phase, circa 3500 to 2700 BCE, representing a premature stage of the script. These early signs provide clues about the script's gradual evolution. The full development of the script occurred during the Urban period, circa 2600 to 1900 BCE, when longer inscriptions and a wider variety of signs appeared. This indicates that the writing system matured alongside the civilization's urbanization. The script's decline and eventual disappearance around 1900 BCE coincides with the collapse of the Indus Valley Civilization. This suggests that the writing system was intimately tied to the socio-political structure of the civilization. The identification of 42 base signs and hundreds of variants and composite forms has been a recent research focus. This structural analysis helps categorize and understand the complexity of the script's visual components. The script shows a high degree of modification, suggesting that certain signs could be altered to change their meaning. This modification system was universally agreed upon across the vast civilization. One theory suggests the script might be a logo-syllabic system, meaning each sign could represent a word or a syllable. This would place it in a similar category to other ancient scripts, like Sumerian cuneiform. The script was not just confined to the Indus Valley. Some seals with Indus script have been found in West Asia. The presence of these seals in foreign lands provides evidence for long-distance trade and diplomatic contact. The so-called Dhalavira signboard, a large inscription found at the site of Dhalavira, is a significant discovery. This large monumental inscription is a rare example of the script used in a public context, unlike the more common smaller seals. Some researchers have looked for parallels between Indus signs and graffiti found at various archaeological sites, including those in southern India. These comparisons help explore possible connections and the longevity of certain symbols. The hypothesis that the script represents an early form of Sanskrit or Indo-Aryan has been put forward by some researchers. This is one of the various linguistic theories proposed for the script. Other theories suggest the language of the script was related to languages that are no longer spoken. This possibility adds to the difficulty of decipherment, as there is no living language to provide a linguistic anchor. The attempts to decipher the script have spanned over a century, since the first seals were discovered in the 19th century. Early assumptions that the inscriptions were bound to a language fueled these initial decipherment efforts. The field of Indology has experienced an excess of speculative claims regarding the script's decipherment. This overabundance of unsubstantiated claims has prompted calls for more rigorous academic standards. The possibility that the script represents a completely lost language now extinct is also a serious consideration. This would mean that decipherment is dependent on finding a completely new source of information. The Indus script was a monumental intellectual exercise of great significance to the civilization. The care taken in its design points to a society that valued communication and record-keeping. The discovery of potential sign matches between Indus symbols and graffiti in southern India has been noted. These comparisons help explore possible connections and the longevity of certain symbols. A paper published in 2023 proposed that the script was mainly used for commercial purposes and not for religious or phonetic spelling. This challenges traditional assumptions about the script's function. The Indus civilization was a highly urbanized and sophisticated culture for its time, with elaborate systems of trade and taxation. Understanding their script could reveal more about how these systems functioned. Early theories connected the script to Brahmi, the ancestor of many modern South Asian scripts, but this connection is now considered uncertain. The chronological gap between the Indus script and later scripts makes a direct link hard to prove. The script's connection with Indian writing systems proper, like Devanagari and Bengali script, is still a matter of uncertainty. The historical links are not yet clearly established. The script was used for a period of about 700 years, indicating its robustness and versatility. The longevity of the system suggests it was effective for its intended purpose. The most famous inscriptions are found on seals, but they are also found on smaller tablets, some of which may have been used as permits. This indicates a variety of uses for the script beyond just administrative marking. Some scholars have posited phonetic values for some signs, though these readings are still debated. These proposals, if ever proven, would be a major step toward decipherment. The script's symmetrical qualities suggest an aesthetic sensibility that went beyond mere practical communication. This could mean the signs had both practical and symbolic meaning. The mystery of the Indus script is a prime example of a great problem that attracts both serious scholars and less critical attempts at decipherment. The allure of unlocking this secret continues to drive research. The lack of substantial evidence is the key reason why the script remains an enigma. The limited textual corpus presents a significant hurdle for decipherment. Scholars must be cautious to avoid speculative conjecture when analyzing the script. Unsubstantiated claims have hindered progress in the field. Some have even suggested a link between the Indus script and the Easter Island Rongorongo script. This highlights the wide range of comparative efforts, though many are without solid evidence. The use of modifiers or additional marks on signs suggests a complex grammar. These modifiers were applied consistently across the civilization. The earliest Indus seals were discovered in 1870s, but it took decades for the full significance of the script to be realized. The long history of discovery shows the gradual process of understanding the civilization. The script's usage in different archaeological contexts, such as on pottery versus seals, offers clues about its varying functions. Analyzing these different mediums helps understand the script's versatility. A recent academic paper suggested a partial decipherment, proposing some phonetic and logographic values. While still debated, such attempts represent ongoing efforts in the field. The ultimate meaning of the script will likely require a major discovery, such as a bilingual text. Without such a breakthrough, the mystery will likely persist.